Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of SportsView on nearmedia.tv. We're coming to you this week on Tuesday, the 12th of March, 2024. And welcome Joe Waters. Joe Waters, of course, the legend of Grimsby Town and of Leicester City and of Ireland, the Republic of Ireland. Good evening, Joe, and welcome.
Evening, Pat. Great to see you.
And we have the usual suspects up for consideration for discussion. It had been, I suppose, a weekend full of some surprises and some not so surprising in the world of sport. And in soccer, we'll be looking at soccer and rugby and boxing and golf and all that. Let's see if we get to it. Anyway, Joe, in the Premiership across Channel, there were wins for Arsenal, Wolves, Man United, Spurs, Brighton and Chelsea. Chelsea had the game last night against Newcastle 3-2. And just hotting up now. And in the Championship, Leeds beat Sheffield Wednesday 2-0. Cardiff beat Ipswich Town 2-1. And Hull and Leicester City drew 2-all. So it's also very tight in the Championship as well, you know.
It is.
Of course, the match that people, including my own house with my son and all, that were looking forward to was the Liverpool, Man City, for differing reasons, of course, but a 1-all draw, which suits neither of the two teams at this point in the game. But however, that's the way it panned out. Did you see the match, Joe?
I did.
And
I think the draw suited Man City more than it did Liverpool. Because I think that if Liverpool won that one, there was going to be, I think it's going to be hard. It would have been hard for City to get past that. Especially with Arsenal coming up as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because they've all got a lot of interesting games coming up. I mean, they all have to play. I think. I don't think City have to play United, but I think Arsenal and Liverpool have to play United. They also have to play Spurs. Arsenal play Spurs the last match of the season, which is reminiscent of 1971 when Arsenal went to White Hart Lane and won the double in 1971. And they both have to play Villa.
And did your man score in the Cup or in the Championship, Charlie George?
That was in the Cup final on the Saturday prior that they won.
I remember the long hair and he flying up and
flying on the ground.
Yeah.
That was quite.
They won the double that year.
They did. And they went. I think it was, back in those days, it was so difficult for teams. I mean, people talk a lot about Leeds and the amount of games they had to play, but I want to say that Arsenal won the FA Cup on the Saturday, and I think they had to play Spurs at White Hart Lane on the Monday, or sometime that midweek. Anyway, early. I know that it happened to Leeds when Leeds played in the FA Cup final. And then they had to go and play Wolves on the Monday night, and they lost. I think they lost that one, and that gave Derby the championship. Their first one, I think.
That was that the Derek Dougan era?
It was, yeah. Derek Dougan, John Richards, all those guys, Mike Bailey.
Oh, they're the terrific team.
All those guys, yeah.
Oh God, terrific team, and. Were Liverpool denied a legitimate penalty?
If it was my team, I would be going up the wall about it. I don't know what Doku was doing. I have no idea because the ball was there to be headed. And if he'd went to head the ball and McAllister tried to play it, he would have got a free kick. So here's the irony of it. So he decides not to head it. He pulls back and lets the ball come down. And we're all told from an early age, do not let the ball bounce in the box.
Yeah.
You got to
golden rule,
and win it. And then he makes the error of going for it. Now, is it are the new laws of the game that because you make contact with the ball and then make contact with the person afterwards, that it's not a penalty? But that in my book, that in any other part of the field is going to be a free kick.
Yeah, that's what's maddening people because, as I said, if that happened anywhere else outside the box, it's a free kick.
Yeah.
Now, under the rules, it is, but it cannot be given a free because it's in the box. You give them a penalty. I mean, that's a complete cop out, isn't it?
It is.
Pardon the pun. Cop out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it really got the cop out as well. So, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that you know, I think they were robbed in that occasion. I really do.
And the news emerging now is that Jurgen Klopp is staying on for 2 more years.
Oh, is that right? I haven't seen that one.
There's a rumor that he's signed an extension. It's not, it's not on the main things yet, but there's a rumor going on. But I don't know what the story is. Maybe they are a good team,
But they're a very good team, and let's be very honest. They deserve to win the match on Sunday. I thought they were the better team.
Yeah, I think Liverpool were better.
Yeah, it's interesting. I read something about about Guardiola's philosophy, and he got it from Johan Cruyff. And the philosophy was that when you go into a highly favoured stadium like Anfield, where it's its favourite pitch during the game, he said you have to make 3,000 passes or something like that to take the home team, to take the crowd out of the game. And that's what they did. But to be honest, City did not play well on Sunday. They were very poor. Their passing was off. Bernardo Silva didn't have a great game. He had a bit of a rush of blood at one time in the game that he was lucky. Yeah. They calmed him down, or he could have got himself sent off for that stupid foul on McAllister, and then he was out of control for another couple. Haaland didn't really have a kick in the game, to me.
But our teams are beginning to manage him in the game.
Well, it's becoming the fact, and I don't know why people haven't figured this out before, but it's if a team is going to play possession at the back and try to play their way out and keep it, then you've got to push up on them, and you've got to stop them because they want you to drop back, and then they'll play in front of you all day, and they'll just wait for somebody to make the mistake of not covering their space, and they'll take advantage of it.
Yeah,
now, Liverpool forever and a day have been pressing Man City, and they've been unfortunate. Sometimes they didn't get the result, but other times they have. And the one thing that City did in the past to get past Liverpool was to hit long balls over the top.
Yeah,
especially into the Liverpool right back position.
But
they didn't do that on Saturday or on Sunday to either side, because all of a sudden Robertson is not playing and Trent are not playing. And the fact that those two guys push so far forward left spaces behind. Now Gomez and the young Irish kid don't really push up that far.
No.
So it took that away from them. And plus the Argentinian guy that they had playing on the left-hand side had a stinker. Too many. Rodri, once he got hurried, his passes were not great, and I think Liverpool had the better opportunities.
They had. I think they realised they missed it. But for people who have missed it, Arsenal are top of the table at 64 points. Liverpool are second with 64 points. Man City are on 63. Aston Villa are on 55, Spurs are on 53, and Man United are on 47. Now, the reason I mentioned Man United is despite all their problems, despite the much maligned their manager, Eric Van Tag, they're still hanging in there, you know. Man United, that is. They all have 28 games played except Spurs, who have 27. So, you know, it's coming to the end. And, you know, I think it's between Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City, Joe, when you look at it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't see anybody else coming through.
No, there's too much of a gap. There's too much of a
Yeah,
gap.
yeah. There's no one else going to come through and take that away from those guys. I mean, the a really big game is going to be Arsenal going to the Etihad
Yeah.
for I think it's the next league game, is it, that they play, because they have the FA Cup and then they have
Well,
the
you're
break.
the Champions League is on tonight, and you have the Champions League this week. I think Arsenal are playing tonight, aren't they? They are.
Yes, they're playing Porto tonight.
They're playing Porto tonight, and in the Champions League. Are they at home or away? They're at home to Porto, and it's just kicked off. We'll keep you updated on that, and I'll just check now next weekend, Friday, and next Saturday we have the FA Cup is on next weekend. The quarterfinals with Wolves and Coventry and Man City and Newcastle, and you have Tottenham are away to Fulham next Saturday. Then on Sunday, you have the other quarterfinals in the Cup, which are Chelsea and Leicester City.
Right.
And Man United and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Next Sunday. So St. Patrick's Day. And and Aston Villa are away to West Ham in the Premier League. So that's the FA Cup is taking up the
yeah, I think that's picking up next weekend, and then don't they have the international break after that?
They have, yeah.
So it's going to be 3 weeks before the City Arsenal. Yeah. It's just going to be interesting, you know. I mean, the whole thing with it. There's some really big games coming up, and
I mean, you know, we know that the teams at the top have a squad that can cope with those volume of games that they're playing. We know that, you know, and they seem to be able to manage it a little bit better than the other teams. I'm just looking up something here before I forget it. And Luton Town, my own team, Luton Town, got a draw away to Crystal Palace, which was disappointing. I thought they should have taken the 3 points. You know, it was an opportunity for them, but there you go. Now in the championship,
you could look the other way. You know, Palace played really well in that match.
They did.
And you know, I mean, Rob Edwards made a couple of great substitutions right towards the end of it, and the 2 lads that came on, Townsend and I forget the other lad's name, combined to score the tying goal. So you know, at this stage for Luton, a point away from home is a good result.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. I was still hoping for the 2 more, but
yeah, because I mean, you know, Forest got beaten again on.
They did,
and in somewhat controversial circumstances, you know, and they're now playing the war is me and the whole thing, you know, and it, you know, it's. Like I said before, you know, things even themselves out over the season. You know, we saw last week where Edison comes out and he gets the ball and he cleans up the Man United kid.
yeah.
And then on Sunday, he comes out and he cleans up Nunes, and he not only gives a penalty away, but he gets injured as well. And, you know, I'm looking at that and I'm going, why is my goalkeeper out there? Because Nunes is not really going to do much.
No.
if Edison doesn't go out there and try to win that and lets a defender get across to do it, now he is going to still be on the field and possibly no goal because they might have blocked it, or he's still giving himself a chance to save. But once he was getting there, he should have known that Nunes was not going to be able to do much with that ball.
No.
And I just wonder now, you know, if sometimes goalkeepers are not going to have to be told about defending properly instead of just going for the ball out of control, you know, because if he'd done what a normal defender would have done there and just jockeyed him to the end line, he's not going to be able to do anything.
No.
You know, the best thing, because Ake, who gave the bad back pass, is recovering. So now they'd have 2-on-1, and they, you know, where's he going to go with it? You know, so
No.
it's just interesting. Like I say, he got away with one last week. This weekend, he didn't get away with one, and it happens every year in every league.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. SportsView is a program on learnmedia.tv. Don't forget to press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. It's free of charge. Over in the Championship, Joe, Leicester City are on top with 82 points. Leeds United are in second place at 79. Ipswich are on 78. Southampton on 73. West Brom on 60. Norwich and Hull on 58. And Coventry on 57. So there we are. We still think that Leicester, Leeds, and Ipswich are on track. Maybe Southampton now will come into the picture, but
that loss for Ipswich was a big loss.
It was, yeah. They were.
The other side to it is that Leicester don't play next weekend, so if Leeds win, Leicester will be second in the league. Now Leeds will be top.
Yeah, Leicester are playing in the cup quarterfinals, isn't it? Next weekend, and be a tough one. Still, it's a testament to the team that they're in the cup quarterfinal.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they're doing great, and of course it's like everything else. You know, you forget that all the work that they've done in the first 2/3 of the season, and now you're getting towards the last third of the season, and people are going, well, they're not this, they're not that. You know how difficult it is to maintain a charge like that through the whole season.
It's astonishing.
It is over the amount of games that they have to play.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. You know, so at some point it catches up with you, and you're going to have a little bit of a dip in form somewhere. And they may have just with Ipswich losing, that may just be enough of a gap to see them over the line as the top two teams, one of the top two teams to go on.
Yeah, they're automatic, and then it's the next four then play off, and at this point in time, it's Ipswich, Southampton, West Brom, and Norwich. A lot of familiar faces still there, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, you look at the Premiership, and you look at Burnley. I mean, Burnley got at West Ham on at the weekend, 2-2. But I mean, West Ham were denied a blatant penalty.
They were.
I mean, Berger handles the ball with two hands. His hands are out in front of him, and the ball hits his hands, and hits his arms, and nothing given.
Why didn't they get that penalty?
I have no idea. Nobody's mentioned anything about it that I've seen.
Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So, I saw an article not this weekend, but the previous weekend. Vincent Kompany wasn't really complaining, but he's making a point of that his team, when they play, are getting a lot of first-time referees that are making their debut in the Premiership.
Oh, right.
And he was questioning the consistency of some of the calls that they were getting for and against them. You know, the ones that should have been for them, they were not getting, and the ones against them, the other team were getting. And it's, you know, I mean, that
Well,
is going to get you relegated right there.
I think he has a point. And just before we go away from soccer, we in Division Two, Grimsby drew 1-1 with Sutton, and
Yes, and but
Wrexham won
even,
3-1
even
away.
in that division, you know, Grimsby are winning 1-0 away from home, and the linesman flags for a penalty, a
Yes,
phantom penalty, a phantom handball, and uh, and it ends up tying the game for him. So it's just, you know, it happens everywhere. It's there's no
and
getting.
Wrexham had a 3-1 win in Morecambe, so they're heading for promotion really from Division Two
Yeah.
to Division One. But as we said a couple of weeks ago, it's a long journey from the second division to the Premiership. You know,
Oh, it is. It is. It is.
Luton,
You know, I
Luton,
have,
Luton Town did it.
yes, they did. Yes, they did.
And
But it took a while to do it, and
did.
it does take a while to get there. You know, and it takes. I mean, it takes a bit of luck. I was reading um, about Leicester City and
Yeah,
about how Leicester City would be able, you know, to compete in the Premiership and why they weren't able to compete the last time. And the the thinking by some people was that they built the King Power Stadium and they didn't build it big enough for it to be a stadium that would help them be competitive in the Premier League. And instead, they spent 100 million on a training ground, a brand new training facility. When people were saying, well, we should have added more capacity to the King Power to give us more earning power to allow us to be more competitive in the Premiership.
yeah, when they come up, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, they already had it. I know it was old; it was there in my time, but it was still a fantastic facility. You had all the space that you ever needed at Beaver Drive, which was the old
training
train,
ground. Yeah,
and it was huge. I mean, it was absolutely huge, and I don't know why they had to do that with it. Why they couldn't renovate that and and spend the money on the stadium. And I mean, that's the difference now between the big boys and the rest of them. You look
yeah,
at Liverpool, you look at United, you look at Arsenal, you look at Spurs, four of the biggest stadiums in the country,
yeah, yeah.
the most. And outside of Old Trafford, or Man City, I'm sorry, the Etihad, you look at that stadium, those uh, out of those five, probably Old Trafford is in the poorest shape at the moment, but they all can hold an absolute amount.
Yeah, they want to make they want to they want plans out for Old Trafford to be the Wembley of that part of England.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, we wish them the best.
yeah.
Rugby union over the weekend. The Six Nations are still going on. There's only one series of games left, and Ireland. Well, we did say last week that Ireland it would be a very tough match for Ireland, and so it proved. England were terrific. They beat Ireland by 23 points to 22. Italy beat Scotland 31-29. And France, well, they had a big win over Wales 45-24. And I see Ronan O'Gara's team is going well in the top 14. La Rochelle, they won 23. 5. Since Cocker is in the limelight with Ronan O'Gara, we have to say congratulations to Killian Murphy. It's not a sporting occasion, but it felt like it, the first Irish born male actor to win the Oscar. And a terrific film. I watched a terrific film,
It
Oppenheimer.
is a very good film. It is very
Huh?
good.
Oh,
It
is
is
it?
very.
I thought Matt Damon was very good in it, Joe. I thought
David played a very good part in it.
all,
Uh,
all, all the
Others
main
were
characters were
great in
good.
it. Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
was
he was terrific.
yeah,
Terrific.
he
I
really
love
was.
I love Downey though. I think he's a great
Yeah,
actor.
yeah.
But getting back to the rugby, Ireland did not play well, but that's unfair to England. England played very well. England, I say, bullied Ireland in the scrums.
Well,
Uh,
it's funny. I read an article by Tony Ward last week.
yeah,
Uh, it was in the old days. The cry when Ireland played England was, "Let's kick the you know what out of them,"
yeah,
and you had to make it a bar fight to stop them,
yeah.
right? And that's what they did to us this time. They made it into a fight, and unfortunately, we weren't up for it. Uh,
No.
on the day we weren't, and some poor decisions. You know,
I thought our 9 and 10 were very poor. They were
yeah,
very poor.
yeah. I mean,
Very,
at,
very
at
poor.
the end of the game, I mean, uh, Amani getting the yellow card was not. I mean, that was a poor decision for an experienced player like that, knowing. Um, but then the pressure gets to you, and you don't know. And then at the end, the kicking at the end was very very poor. I mean, it allowed England to keep the pressure on and giving them back the ball so close to the Ireland end line.
Yeah,
Uh,
the decision making on the pitch, on the field as well, was poor at
yeah,
times.
and we missed a couple of conversions, from the
We did.
sideline.
We did. We did.
But then again, I mean, the knock-on penalty or try that they got, that could have gone either way. I think.
They
Uh,
could.
their guy missed. I thought was a pretty kickable penalty.
He missed 10 points.
Yeah. So
My,
if you looked at it all in all, people tried to make a big deal about his foot being on the line for the try and what have you. But you know, if it's past the phases of play, then that's the end of it.
it
You know,
is, and
and it doesn't matter anymore. So I
yeah,
mean,
we have to admit that England were the better team. I watched the match.
yeah,
I was disappointed for
I
what
was
reason.
disappointed, but it's it's the age old. You
Yeah, I think myself, Joe, people aren't paying enough attention. Ireland had one high class game in the World Cup to prepare for the All Blacks, and they failed the test. Ireland had this match was chalked in at the beginning of the Six Nations as a crucial game for Ireland, and they failed to overcome it. You know, no, I'm
yeah.
not saying I'm not saying the whole team failed. I'm saying some players, we must admit, are coming to the end of their careers as well.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with you on that. I mean, I think that's fair, but the,
Our front row were destroyed.
they they were. I mean, they were like you said, they were bullied. I mean, and that was the way it was. I think the same happened against New Zealand. We were bullied in that game as well a bit, but we got knocked out in the World Cup, and then to reorganize and come back and put yourself within 2 games of a Grand Slam,
Yeah,
which is very, very difficult. Repeating a Grand Slam
back
is
to
very,
back.
very,
And
is very, very difficult.
I think it's only been done 2 or 3 times,
Yeah,
back to back Grand Slams.
yeah,
Now, when people talk about a Grand Slam, we're talking about beating all the teams in that
right.
season in the Six Nations. And their last game now is against Scotland, and that'll be no pushover.
Well, I mean, but we're facing the same thing here now because you beware the Scotland beat England at Murrayfield 2 weeks ago, so you're going into Twickenham and beware of the wounded lion. I mean, they're they were embarrassed up there, and all of a sudden, the coach's job is maybe coming under, you know, um, some questioning as to what have you, and they have to put up a performance on their own turf to get their own people back behind.
Of course they
And
do,
now you got Scotland that got beat by Italy, and
and
they're
there's
going to
not.
be
I don't think there's enough analysis because the Irish coaching team were caught very badly in the World Cup in their game against the All Blacks, as we said here on this program. they played an injured player on the wing
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
in the most important game in the World Cup. You know,
yeah.
they played another few players who were really we just wondered why they were doing it. You know, and well, that to me was unforgivable. But anyway, we wish them the best. They're playing Scotland now in the last match, and all they have to do is draw against Scotland, and they'll win the championship. You know, but it's still a terrific performance for Ireland, and we wish them well. Formula One. Um, I don't have to tell you who won Formula One and who came second in Bahrain, but for people who may not be following it very closely, we could call out these four names till the end of the season, and 99% of the time, whatever. So Verstappen and Perez, Leclerc and Piastri. So they're the four, the two Red Bull, 1 and 2. So that was in Bahrain. Now, Joe, I didn't know, did you watch the boxing over the weekend?
I didn't get to see it. I did not.
And we gathered a few around us to watch it. Now Anthony Joshua has got a bad press, some of it justified, because I don't think he has reached his potential at all. But I've been watching boxing for years now, but the Anthony Joshua that I saw, I know he was fighting a guy who's a glorified UFC fighter, in Ganu from who gave what's his name, Tyson Fury, a mouthful when he fought him. But Fury, in my opinion, didn't even train for that fight,
Right.
and he won a split decision. But I think the result was fair. But Joshua then was so zoned in for that fight that the first straight left he threw knocked your man down. And I said to the lads with me, I said, this is going to finish very soon. Because you could see the look on his face at the power of Joshua's punch. I mean, your man isn't a boxer, but I mean, he felt it. He felt it. And of course, he finished him off completely in the second round. That was Anthony Joshua. Andy Lee, who's a trainer now of Paul Parker from New Zealand, one of the smaller heavyweights, and he seems to be getting better with age as well. He beat Big Bang Zhang from China, the big, huge guy, you know, who ran out of pep after 4 or 5 rounds. He was just exhausted and he had nothing to give. And Parker won that. A tight fight, but he got the decision. But there's always a daylight robbery in unfortunately one of those boxing matches. There's always a complete off the wall decision in a boxing match, and I thought we were getting away from it. But Nick Ball, I think he's from Liverpool. Nick Ball is a featherweight, terrific boxer, small man, terrific boxer. We're watching this, and I was marking the fight myself, and the result was called out. One of the judges gave to the Mexican. Ray Vargas was the guy who beat him for the featherweight title. He called out the score for Ray Vargas, 117 to 113, and we all looked at each other. We said, that has to be wrong. He must have put the wrong result. But it wasn't, unfortunately, and it was a split decision. And one judge called it a draw. The other judge called it for Nick Ball, but he's a champion. A draw, it means you keep the title.
Right.
But it was the best fight on the bill, I thought myself. And there you are, that's another one that went to miss. Our golfing expert can't be here tonight, but over in America, over the weekend, in the Arnold Palmer Invitational, which is one of the big golf tournaments outside the majors in the United States. Going into the last round, Shane Lowry from Ireland and Scotty Scheffler were the giant leaders going into the final round. Scheffler is a terrific golfer. He's the world number one in the absence of all the other ones playing with Live Golf, their rankings. But I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm saying he'd be up there anyway. But anyway, he won it in the end. He won it by 6 shots. Scheffler, terrific that round. So he won $4 million for his weekend's work. And Shane Lowry finished in third place, and he won $1.4 million for finishing third, with nice paycheck. softens the blow somewhat coming third. Seamus Power finished down the field on -1. I mean, there's terrific price part, $224,750 he won for, I think, coming 31st, as far as I know. But it was a good tournament, a good tournament. I watched a lot of it over the weekend. The women were playing as well over the weekend in Hong Kong, and Bailey Tardy. Now there's a name to conjure with. She won over the Blue Bay under the LPGA. She won at -19 that tournament over there. Bailey Tardy. 68, 70, 66, and 65. A terrific tournament for her. And in the Aramca series, then Fosterling, a new name for me, won the title at -12. But Charlie Hull, who I like watching, she's a very good player. She's from Britain. She was in third place at -9. She did very well for herself for years, getting after a good start. But getting back to our soccer, Joe, um, we have to say it's Arsenal, Liverpool, or Man City. Who would your money be on now at this stage?
It's if you were to look at the three of them and look at them right now, City have been performing probably at a lesser level than Arsenal and Liverpool. I think Liverpool and Arsenal by the way they're scoring goals, although I thought they were a little bit fortunate against Brentford on Saturday. I thought Havertz should have been sent off for diving when he was already on a yellow card. And then he pops up and he scores the game-winning goal.
Yeah.
I just don't know what is going on with that. Sometimes it's a yellow card, other times it's not. It's like kicking the ball away. I saw it happen again at the weekend, and one guy kicks the ball away, gets a second yellow card, he's off the field. One guy kicks the ball away. Oh, don't do that again. I mean, it's very frustrating to watch it in action, and so I think that things like that have an effect because Havertz, if he gets red card, I don't know that Arsenal win the game, and then he's out for probably 2 or 3 games on the run in for the championship. So it's but I never knock City out of it because they're so used to it and they can put. I mean, how many games have we got left? 12 or 13 games left.
Yeah, between 10 and 12. Lots
yeah.
of games.
So I mean, City could run off 10 wins in no time. I mean, that's how good they are.
They have potential to do that. There's a full. Yes. There's a full. We're the SportsView on Tuesday. We're on Tuesday this week on 12th of March, and there's a full list of games on Division 1 and Division 2 across channel tonight. Grimsby Town, Joe, coming up to halftime. They're winning against the Don MK Dons 1-0.
All right.
That's Grimsby Town, and RBQ scored the goal just on the stroke of halftime, so they're 1-0 up. And Wrexham, I think Wrexham are winning as well, as far as I know. On that, they're 0-0. So that's in Division 2. And then there's one game in the championship tonight, and Middlesbrough are gone ahead against away to Birmingham 1-0. Middlesbrough winning 1-0 in that. The other team that I thought would do well, that would be going for promotion.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, I hadn't really watched them or took notice of them, but I read who were they playing in midweek and they won, and maybe at the weekend they won, and in the article it says, well, that's eased their relegation worries, and I thought I thought they were flying at the start of the season.
They were going very well. They were going.
they're in danger of that. So it just makes you wonder. It's a tough division. It's a very, very tough
And
division.
they won away to QPR the weekend,
That's
2.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I just want to check now as we're on a championship to see where are they. They're down. They'll still be ninth in the table if they win tonight, because they're 4 points behind Coventry, who are in eighth, and they're 5 points off the playoff spot. So
That is so unbelievable.
yeah,
That division is so tight.
yeah, and another team I'd hoped for was Sunderland, but they're spending another season in the championship by the look of their positioning. And Huddersfield, who were flying high in the Premiership a couple of years back, Joe, they're in relegation.
That is so tough to see that happening.
Yeah, and Birmingham, who are playing tonight at home to Middlesbrough, are a point above relegation.
And again, that's another one. That club was going so well under Eustace when he was there, and then all of a sudden they decide to bring in Wayne Rooney. But that Sunderland are a club that looks like they want to hurt themselves as much as possible because they had Tony Mowbray in charge there with a young team. He just missed out on getting promotion last year with them. They don't spend any money, and they were only a couple of points off the promotion spots when they decided to fire him and bring in somebody else. And all of a sudden, it was like a stone dropping. I mean, they dropped like a stone after that. And
Well, they're 11 points now off the playoff spot, and they're not going to make up that ground by the look. I mean, another team danger of relegation from championship is QPR, which was
yes,
when I worked in London in the 70s, they were my go-to team in the 1970s. If you're going to a match on Saturday, who was playing at home around you, you go to Loftus Road, because of the likes of Stan Bowles. I think you'll go anywhere to watch him anyway.
oh yeah, I mean they had a great team back then. I mean, they were so fun to watch.
Yeah,
They were just, I mean,
terrific altogether.
Perfect team altogether, and it was. It really was.
Well, you played against a few of them, Joe, didn't you?
I probably played against all of them.
Yeah.
At some point, obviously, I made my debut against them in '74. So I played against Parks, Clement, McClintock, Mancini.
Mancini and McClintock were
Gillard left.
tough players.
Jerry Francis.
I forgot about him, Jerry Francis. Another good player.
Francis, Terry Venables, Stan, Dave Thomas, Don Givens, and I'm trying to think who the other one was, and I was racking my brain for it, and I couldn't come up with it.
Yeah.
I'll kick myself when I see it. But then they got Don Masson in from Notts County, and Masson was played for Scotland in the World Cup. And they just had some, Stan, of course. So it was just a fantastic group of players, and they had so much character and just panache.
Yeah.
So they were. I mean, I remember playing against QPR when they were in the third division when I first went to Leicester, and I made the reserve team in 1970, and we played them, and that was just after they'd beaten. I think was it West Brom they beat in the League Cup final at Wembley.
You could be right there. I'm thinking now.
Yeah, well, I think Swindon beat Arsenal in the League Cup at Wembley. Two third division teams won the League Cup back then. So I'm not sure what years they were.
Yeah.
But then they came through the divisions, and they became like a top club, and not just a top club, but entertaining. They had great managers. They had Gordon Jago,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, I remember him. Yeah,
yeah, and then they had Dave Sexton after that.
Dave Sexton, a legend in his own lifetime.
Yes, yeah, indeed. So they had some.
Did he go on to Man United?
Yes, he did. Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, I think he went to United before. Um, I think he went from Chelsea to United, and then he went from United to QPR. I think. After, and I think he got. I think you could call him the second man because he finished second at United in the league, and I think he got fired for it.
yeah,
For expecting them to win it, and then he, I think he took QPR to second place in the old first division as well.
he did. Yeah, he did. Dave
Yeah,
Sexton.
and he had some great teams at Chelsea. And one of the funniest things was his father. He came from a boxing family.
Yeah,
His father was a boxer, and himself and Osgood didn't see eye to eye ever. Peter Osgood and he, a great player,
yeah,
fantastic player, but he and Osgood just couldn't stand each other. And they'd get into arguments in the dressing room, and it would be this, that, and the F this, F that. I'll
yeah,
see you in the effing parking lot, and this, and the guys had to jump in between them before it became a fight.
yeah,
So
yeah. Rightly so. Peter Osgood was a terrific player. Yeah,
yes, he was, and they moved him on. I think before he should have been moved on, he went to Southampton. I think he won the cup at Southampton, didn't he? Is he in that team? He
Peter
won the cup with
Osgood.
Bobby Stokes, scored a goal.
Yeah, I think he was with that Southampton team. I just
I'm not
say,
sure if he was there at that time.
yeah.
I'm trying to remember now. Because I know the year after at Grimsby, we played Southampton in the third round of the FA Cup. And we took them to 3 games. They eventually beat us. We drew with
Oh Jesus.
the Dell. And then we lost in Filbert Street in Leicester.
Yeah.
Phil Boyer and Ted McDougall were playing up front, and Alan Ball was the captain.
Well, I loved watching Ted McDougall.
Yes, I love Ted McDougall as a
I
player.
thought Ted McDougall was underrated.
I always thought so. And unfortunately, I think the move to Man United proved
Too much. Too much.
maybe it was the wrong club for him to go to.
Certainly. Without,
Yeah.
I always believed that myself.
Alan Ball was the captain. I remember before the game at Leicester, I was captain of Grimsby, and we were doing the toss up, and his wife's name was Leslie, and he says to me, Joe, he says, we've got to stop meeting like this. Leslie is getting suspicious. So, so it was just like one of those,
Alan Ball, is it?
Yeah.
Alan Ball. Got a fire for a small man. He was a fiery player.
Oh, and what a player! I mean, what a one-touch player.
Yeah,
that guy was. And I mean, we played Filbert Street back in those days. We played it it was in January, but usually the first weekend in January was was FA Cup weekend.
Yeah.
So the third round, and the pitches were like muck heaps.
Well, I know we're talking about the old times, but there's no harm in talking that. But I'm talking about the FA Cup, the whole lustre and occasion around it. For instance, the BBC to be on from 11 o'clock in the morning. You'd have all the heads, you'd have
Right?
all the soccer heads, and they'd be all on to be a day long build up to the match, and then afterwards. So it's a terrific occasion for people.
It's a disgrace what they're doing to the FA Cup.
It is, yeah. I think it's very
when you
sad.
take fifth round tie, a fifth round weekend that is supposed to be on a Saturday, and you play it in midweek, and you demean the cup like that, it's disgraceful.
It is. It is.
And that is the Premiership doing that because they have all these games. You know what? It's tough luck. It's tough luck. This is the schedule. This is the way it works. And FA Cup games are played on Saturday, and you have to play replays on Tuesday or
Yeah.
when. That's the end of it.
I think that they should stick to their guns in that respect and keep the losses, because there are teams down in Division 1, 2, and 3, or the old divisions, who whose only I suppose occasion for them is a good run in the cup, to
Yeah.
keep the club afloat, to keep and the excitement in a club, say like Rochdale, or even now like Leicester City going into the quarter final the weekend. That's a terrific boost, a terrific moral boosting game, for not alone for the team, but for the people who are investing in the club, and the supporters obviously as well.
Oh
It's,
yeah. I mean, it's huge. But I mean, it's so typical of what they do. When I was at Grimsby, we were going great in the third division. We eventually won it, but we did great in the League Cup, and we beat Everton we beat Notts County, who were a second division team. We're top of the second division at Dundle Park.
Notts County had a terrific team around that time.
Yeah, Don Masson was in that team.
Yeah,
Jeff
yeah.
Lockley, all those guys were a great team, and we beat them 3-1 at Grimsby. Then we played Everton in the next round with Brian Kidd and all those guys in it. Martin Dobson,
Yeah.
uh, and we beat those guys 2-1, and we drew Wolves in the quarter final with Andy Gray and Kenny
Well,
Hibbett.
I'd forgotten about Andy Gray, another fine
Yeah,
player. Yeah.
and they had a great team as well. They were flying in the
Kenny Hibbett, you said, under Kenny
Kenny
Hibbett?
Hibbett. Yeah, Kenny Hibbett was there.
Yeah.
Uh, Willie Carr was playing there.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
George Berry was there. John
Yeah.
McCall. Uh, they just had a terrific team, and we took them. We drew with them at Grimsby. We drew with them at Molyneux, and then we had to go to a second replay, and the football league decided that they were going to play the game at the baseball ground in Derby, which is like 30 miles from Wolverhampton, right? We're 90 miles away up in Grimsby from this, and they
Yeah.
couldn't find a ground closer. And our chairman objected to the fact that our fans had to travel that far to go to the game that night and what have you. And you know what the football league told him? Replied to him, "Well,
No.
if you don't like it, we'll disqualify you and we'll give Wolves the game."
Shit.
Yeah, that's the way they were. That's the way it was back then.
It's terrible.
So we had to go again. The baseball ground was at that time of year was a mud pit, and we ended up losing 2-0, which was unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Wolves went on to win it.
They won the cup.
They did, yeah.
Oh, big eye. Of course, as you said, they had a terrific team as well,
Oh,
Terrific.
I mean, they were a terrific team. They really were. And
I mean, they stayed around in the big league a long time with very little resources, with
yes,
pure heart and grit. But
yeah,
the other teams are like, not because you play with less, the other teams I like to see coming up, what I call traditional teams like Leicester, like Leeds, like teams like that coming up again to the Premiership,
yeah.
Pop
There's
like
a lot
like
of,
like
I mean,
Nottingham Forest, like Nottingham Forest.
Forest the same. I mean, in my time when I was at Leicester and playing in the third team, we played in the Midland Intermediate League and then Midland Youth League. So the same guys would not normally play in the Youth League as they would in the Intermediate League.
Yeah.
So we played the likes of Forest, Birmingham, Wolves, Coventry. I mean, we played against the likes of John Robertson, who played in two European Cup finals for Forest. in the third team.
He did, yeah. John Robertson did, yeah.
Yeah.
Those
So
78, 79,
yeah,
77, 78, yeah.
yeah. So we played against guys like that. Then you had Barry Powell. You had Alan Sunderland, who scored the winner for Arsenal
That's
against
right.
in the cup final. He was a Wolves player on the youth team. Steve Daly, the first £1 million. What did he? He wasn't the first £1 million player, but he was the first £1 million winger, I think,
Yeah,
that went from Wolves to Man City, and that enabled Wolves to buy Andy Gray from Aston Villa. So I mean, they just had a great, they had a great youth policy, but they also had Bill McGarry and then John Barnwell, who were very astute managers and bought very well. I mean,
yeah,
they had the Duke, Derek Dugan, and John Richards up front, with Dave Wagstaff on the wing, Kenny Hibbett,
yeah.
Mike Bailey. Uh, they had Peter Knowles there for a while in midfield, Frank Monroe at the back, big Scottish international,
Yeah.
Derek Parkin. You know, some terrific guys that played.
Good, tough players. But we're down now to the last 16 in the in the Champions League, and Arsenal are home tonight playing Porto. This is Tuesday, 12th of March, as we're on air, and they were 1-0 down after their first leg in Porto. They're after squaring the match at half time. Tossard the scored, so it's 1-1 now. So, as the man said, it's finely balanced. But Barcelona are playing at home to Napoli. Napoli were 1-0 ahead in the first leg, but now it's 2-1 to Barcelona. So that's Napoli have pulled back a goal. So it's 3-2. That's finely balanced as well between Barcelona and Napoli. And
It's
Middlesbrough, yeah,
it's funny one about that. I was watching. I was watching Barca play at last week. I forget who they were playing, but Xavi was suspended, and he's up in one of the luxury boxes behind the glass, and he's watching from up there. And the commentary guys are looking, you know, they're commentating on the game, and the camera pans up to Xavi up
yeah,
where you are, and they said, Xavi's not even watching our match, and there's a TV screen there, and he's watching Napoli play a game in midweek
Arsenal, the
in
league,
Serie A, and
yeah.
he's scouting the game while he's suspended while the other game is going on. It's just like
That's
I,
very funny.
I,
That's very,
I was just howling. Oh God, he doesn't even care about his own team right now. He's
yeah.
scouting the opposition. So yeah,
I
so
suppose Man City would be one of the favourites to win the Champions League.
I think so. I think so. But you know, they're they just seem to be a step off, and it doesn't surprise me one bit because I mean we've talked before how difficult it is to maintain your
Standard.
your standards and your workload over a period. They've won the Premier League 3 times in a row. They're going for the fourth time. That has never been done before. They're going for their second treble in a year in 2 seasons.
Yeah,
So
you're right. When you stand back and look at what they're doing, I mean, okay, there's the other side of the coin we've spoken about, but I'm just saying, as a football team, I mean, it's unprecedented what they're doing. Unprecedented.
yeah,
It can't be compared.
no,
On on that terrific note, for all you Man City fans, we are not anti Man City football wise, and we never would be because they're terrific footballers. And what goes on off the pitch in the boardroom is shameful. It is no reflection on the players
no,
what they do on the field, despite the carrying on behind in the boardroom. So anyway, from this edition of SportsView, from Joe Waters over there in sunny US of A. And it's not bad here today, a little bit misty, but we don't mind that. We don't mind the mist, as they said, once it's warm to walk in it. It's no one else you could say about the weather here, Joe. But for this edition of Sports You, until we meet again from Joe Waters and myself, take care and God bless.
Good night, Pat. Take
Bye.
care.